you are marking today to a life of good deeds, which you are also marking today with the completion of your Mitzvah project, and to sacred relationships with others as you become more of an adult. And let us say, Amen. And there's an official certificate.
In just a moment, we'll give you a short explanation of what's about to happen, but in this moment, while we have Hillary's parents up here, we wanted to take the opportunity for them to make a presentation of her talit, which I believe, are you going to share any words about, or?
I think
we're getting the words.
Sorry.
That's okay.
We're changing the order.
I'd like to say how beautiful it is. I just saw it, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So, you guys want to share some?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehi atef bat tzitzi.
And now, if you guys would like to share a few words about the talis.
Hillary, your mother and I proudly present you with this talit for your bat mitzvah and your commitment to Judaism.
No pressure. So first of all, I just want to welcome everyone. It's great to have all of you here. Some of you may be new to the community, and this may be your first time in a synagogue. But even if you've been here 100 times, it may help you for us to just share a little bit about the prayer book. Hopefully you all have a book that says Mishkan Tefillah, and it also says Shabbat on it. This is the prayer book we'll be using. The interesting thing about our book is that each 2 pages is actually considered one full page, as you can see in this good example. But most pages will have different quadrants. One will have the Hebrew. One will have a transliteration of that Hebrew. This is mostly an exact translation, and usually we'll find over here a poetic interpretation of that. We will do one of these readings, and then we'll turn the page. So if it feels like you don't know where we are, chances are it's time to turn the page, and you'll find us right on that next one. We'll try to give page numbers as soon as we can. And we'll begin our service with the words, Hine ma tov u'manayim, Shabbat achim gam yachad. Here we are, behold how wonderful and good it is for us to be together as we not only celebrate the Sabbath, but we celebrate the Katchman family, and in particular, Hillary together, who has brought all of us into this space. So we'll begin.
Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
I begin praying on page 66. Each of us enters this sanctuary with a different need. Some hearts are full of peace and gratitude, overflowing with love and joy. They are eager to confront the day to make the world a better place. They are recovering from illnesses or have escaped misfortune. We rejoice with them. Some hearts ache with sorrow. Disappointments weigh heavily on them. Families have been broken. Loved ones lie on a bed of pain. Death has taken a cherished loved one. May our presence and care bring them comfort. Some hearts are embittered. Ideals are betrayed and mocked. Answers sought in vain. Life has lost its meaning and value. May the knowledge that we too are searching restore our hope and renew our faith.
We continue together with the words of Matovu on page 74.
Matovu, Matovu, Ho'alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael, Matovu, Matovu, Ho'alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael, Vani berov chasecha, ahavo vitecha, eshtachavicha lekodshecha be'iratecha, Matovu, Matovu, Ho'alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael, Matovu, Matovu, Ho'alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael, Adonai ahavti, mehon betecha, umekon mishkan kvodecha, mishkan kvodecha, vani eshtachave, ve'echra, evrecha lifni Adonai osi, Matovu, Matovu, Ho'alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael, Matovu, Matovu, Ho'alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael, Vani tefilati lecha, Adonai et ratzon, Elohim berov chesdecha, Elohim berov chesdecha, Aneni be'emet ishecha, Matovu, Matovu, Ho'alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael, Matovu, Matovu, Ho'alecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael, Mishkanotecha Yisrael.
Do I just Don't let me fall as a stone falls upon the hard ground, and don't let my hands become dry as the twigs of a tree. When the wind beats down the last leaves, when the storm rises dust from the earth with anger and howling, don't let me fall. I've asked for so much. But as a blade of your grass in a distant wild field, let's drop a seed in the lamp of the earth and dies away. Sow in me your living breath as you sow a seed in the earth. Baruch atah Adonai rofecho basar umafleh la'asot. My God, the soul you have given me is pure. You created it, you shaped it, you breathed it into me, and you protect it within me. For as long as my soul is within me, I offer thanks to you, Adonai, my God, and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. Praised are you, Adonai, in whose hand is everything, soul and the breath of humankind. Baruch atah Adonai, asher be'yado nefesh kol hai, v'rach kol basar ish. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lasek v'vinan, levavchim ben yom u'v'layla. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, bokei avivrim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, atir asuvrim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, sokeh kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Roka aretz al hamayni. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechim et tzadek gaver. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hanatei ne'ayet koach. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamever shenam enan, utuman me'afa pai. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzelem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'torim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, otzer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, otzer Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivenu, v'atzon la'asok b'divrei Torah. O Adonai, our God, let the words of Torah be sweet in our mouths, in the mouths of your people Israel, so that we, our descendants, and the descendants of all your people Israel, may now know you by studying your Torah for its own sake. Blessed are you, Adonai, who teaches Torah to your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, halamed Torah le'amo Yisrael. These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making each peace among people. By the study of Torah encompasses them all.
We continue together with our service on page 106.
Vitkadash shemir rabba ve'alma divrach yutev yamlich malchute b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayedoko bet Yisrael bagala uvizman kariv v'himru amen. Yehesh meraba mevarach lehalam ulal mehalmaya yitbarach vishtabach vitbahar vitramam vitnase vitadar vitalal shemid kudesha brichu להלה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה, והימרו אמן.
Please rise if you are able.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvarei choshen, oshes shalom uvarei et hakol, hameir la'aretz v'la'adarim aleinu b'recharim, uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh bereshi. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, chum b'chochma asita, malah ha'aretz kinnenecha. Tik barach Adonai Eloheinu, asheva me'osei yadecha. Ve'al me'orei or se'asita yafaruch asal, or chadat zol tzion tayir. Ve'reiz lanu che me'avenizche, mehira le'oro, baruch atah Adonai yotzer ha'me'orot. How deeply you have loved us, Adonai, our God, gracing us with some compassion. On account of our forebears, whose trust led you to teach them the laws of life, be gracious to us, teaching us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us, by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah. Enlighten our eyes with your Torah, focus our minds on your mitzvah, unite our hearts in love and reverence. For your name, then we will never feel shame, never deserve rebuke, and never stumble. Having trusted in your great and awesome holiness, we shall celebrate your salvation with joy. Gather us in peace from the four corners of the earth, and lead us upright to our land. For you, O God, work wonders. You chose us. Truly you drew us near to your great name, that we might acknowledge you, declaring you one in love. Praise be Adonai, who chooses your people Israel in love. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amel Yisrael b'ha'ava.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
You may be
Please,
seated.
yeah. Ve'avta e'anai elecha b'chol levacha u'kol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher nochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'am B'shivtecha v'beitecha, uflectecha v'aderet, uv'shokbecha u'chumecha, uv'shartam le'o al yadecha, v'hayu v'tovtachlo b'neinecha, uv'tachtam amizuzot beitecha uv'isharecha, l'man tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, V'yitem kadoshi lelechem, ani Adonai elechem, asher osei yitakem meretz Mitzrayim, v'yot lachem Elohim, ani Adonai elechem, Adonai elechem, amen. Please turn to the bottom of page 121 as we pray responsibly. The eternal truth is that you alone are God and there is no one else. May the righteousness of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice. Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let
All
nation
nations
not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Ask God. We
know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High. Blessed is God,
deserving of blessing.
Mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, norat ilot osef ele, norat ilot osef ele. Shira chadasha shivchu geulim l'shimcha al sfat hayam yachad kulam udu v'yivlichu v'yamru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed.
please.
Sur Yisrael kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, ufedei chinumecha Yehuda v'Yisrael. Go'aleinu Adonai tzavaot shemo kadosh Yisrael. Baruch ata Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
Please rise and turn to page 124 for the Amidah. Adonai sefatai fita ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imaot, V'Mevit V'La Livnei B'neihem, L'Ma'an Shemo V'Ahava, Melech Ozer
Moshiach u'Magen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol atah Rav Yoshia. Morid hatov, Mechakel Hayim b'Chesed, Mechayei HaKol v'Rachamim
Rabim.
Somech noflim v'rofeh holim, Umatir asurim, Umechayei elmato, Lishenei afar, Li'amot ha'bal giburot, Ulido elach, Melech meimit umechayei, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Enatal chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol.
נקדיש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech kol haaretz, Kevodo. Adir, Adirinu, Adonai, Adoninu, Adir Shemecha bechol haaretz, Baruch Kevod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshiachenu, v'hu Yashvinu, v'rachamav le'enei chol chai. Odi Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion, ledor vador. Hallelujah. Ledor vador nagir gut lecha, ulnitzach nitzachim kedushacha nagdish, v'shivchacha Eloheinu b'penu lo yamush le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated.
Please turn to the bottom of page 135 and pray with me. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, and the realized hope that task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, and the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while that must drift away. On this day, let me break free for the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days, from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat abide. Baruch atah Adonai mechadesh ha-Shabbat.
Ritzi, 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 Adonai Eloheinu, be'amcha Yisrael, u'tefilatam be'ahavat tekabel, u'teil ratzon tamid, u'teil ratzon tamid, avodat Yisrael amecha. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha, b'yirad avod, she'otecha levadecha, b'yirad avod.
We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives, and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hands, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day. Evening, morning, and noon, O God, O good one, whose mercies never end. O compassionate one, whose kindness never fails, who we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O Sabner, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and the Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name in goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Adonai, Hato Shimecha Ulecha Na'eh Lehodot.
Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael hamecha, v'rachenu avinu kulanu k'echad, v'hor banecha, livror banecha natata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael hamecha, Torat chaim ve'avad chesed, ve'avad chesed, u'tzedaka uvracha ve'rachamim ve'chaim ve'shalom. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed ve'rachamim ve'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael hamecha, ve'tov ve'tov b'einecha, levarech et amcha Yisrael, b'chulit ובחושה בשלומך. שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישראל עמך.
We now take a moment for silent prayer and meditation.
Shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al
As we transition to our Torah service, it is my pleasure to invite forward those who will be helping out in the first half of the Torah service, who are opening the Ark and in the passing of the Torah through the generations. Please rise and turn to page 244.
אין כמוך ואלוהים אדוני ואין כמעשיך
Our tradition teaches that Moses received the Torah at Sinai and transmitted it to Joshua, who passed it on to the elders, and from the elders to the prophets, and from the prophets to the men of the great assembly. And so through Jewish tradition, or through history, the Torah and its words, its teachings, all that it stands for, have been passed from one generation to the next. And Hillary, today this Torah becomes yours to take into your head, into your heart, and into your soul, as it symbolically and literally passes from your parents to your brother to you. You may be seated. And this is where, Hillary, you take a nice deep breath. This is the part everybody's been waiting for. No pressure. we begin our Torah reading this morning, our portion for this week comes from Parshat Behar. The opening of the portion speaks about the sabbatical year. Later on in the portion, it gets into a few other topics, but this opening part is what Hillary chose to focus on. If you picked up a Plout Torah commentary, that was the thicker book that says Torah on the front, you can follow along. Her portion will begin with the beginning of Leviticus 25 on page 850. For the honor of the first Aliyah, it is my pleasure to call forward Hillary's parents and brother. Go ahead, Steve.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorak.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorak La'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bakar Benu Mikol Hamim V'Netan Lenu Et Torto Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Adonai, okay. V'daber Adonai el Moshe, Behar Sinai Lemor. Daber el Bnei Yisrael v'amartam Elohim, Ki tabe'u el ha'aretz, Asher ani noten lachem, V'savavta ha'aretz, Shabbat l'Adonai, Shishanim tizra sadecha, V'shei shanim tizmor chamecha, V'asavta et tibuata. Uvashana hashavi'i Shabbatot yiyeh la'aretz. Shabbat l'Adonai sadecha lo tizmor. Charmecha lo tizmor. Et sefia kitrecha lo tiksor. Ve'et ni... Oh.
Steve, go ahead.
You do that.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Toret Emet V'chaye Olam Nata B'toshenu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
The Eternal One spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai. Speak to the Israelite people and say to them, when you enter the land that I assign you, the land shall observe a Sabbath of the Eternal. 6 years you may sow your field, and 6 years you may prune your vineyard and gather in the yield. But in the 7th year the land shall have a Sabbath and complete rest, a Sabbath of Eternal. You shall not sow your field or prune your vineyard.
Oh. Yeah.
For the honor of the second Aliyah, we call forward Hillary's aunts and uncles. And I believe Don will be doing the Aliyah. Ya'amo, Don, Aliyah Shniya.
צפיה קצרך לא תקצור, ואת ענבי נזרך לא תקצור. שנת שבתו יהיה לארץ, והייתה שבת הארץ לכם. לכל לך ובלעדיך ומיתך ושכירך ותושבך הגרים עמך ובהמתך ולחי אשר בארצך תהיה כל תבואתה לכל.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'keyanu olam natah otenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
You shall not reap the aftergrowth of your harvest, or gather the grapes of your untrimmed vines. It shall be a year of complete rest for the land. But you may eat whatever the land during its Sabbath will produce. You, your male and female slaves, the hired and bound laborers who live with you, and your cattle and the beasts in your land may eat all its yield.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, congratulations. Thank you, Courtney. Good job.
Hugs are allowed. For the honor of the third Aliyah, we call forward Hillary's cousins. Ya'amod Yosef LaAliyah Shlishi. Halfway. You're halfway. Who's doing the blessing?
Do you touch the...
Baruch es Adonai Hamborah.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'nasan lanu es toraso. Baruch atah Adonai nosen ha'torah.
וספרת לך שבת שבתות שני, שבת שני, שבת פעמים, והיו לך ימי שבת, שבתו השני תי וריבם. Right here. שנה והעברת סופר תרועה, וחדש טיס והשביעי. Wait for here. Basor lechades benyom hakaperim tivuri sofar bechol aretzchem bechadeshem et shana hachamishim shana becharetem deror be'aretz lechol Yisrael yovohim tiyeh lachem besafavta ish el achuzato be'esh El Mishpato Tishvu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nasan lanu Torah emes v'chayei olam nata b'tzochenu. Baruch atah Adonai nosen ha'torah.
Who's got the translation?
You gave me the tongue twister.
I gave her the tongue twisters.
All right. You shall count off 7 weeks of years, 7 times 7 years, so that the period of 7 weeks of years gives you a total of 49 years. Then you shall sound the horn loud, in the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, the Day of Atonement. You shall have the horn sounded throughout your land, and you shall hallow the 50th year. You shall proclaim release throughout the land for all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you. Each of you shall return to your holdings, and each of you shall return to your family.
Not yet. I get to officially call you to the Torah. This is, for those less familiar with Jewish tradition, this is actually the central part of a B'nai Mitzvah service, is calling the child to the Torah, because it is something that you can only do once you have reached the age of B'nai Mitzvah, to read the Torah, but particularly say the blessings on behalf of all of us. And so this is my favorite sentence of the whole service. Ta'amod Naomi bat Steve Benika le'aliyah lebat mitzvah. And now you get to do the blessings.
Do I read it after?
Before, because this is the fourth aliyah.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach. Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu michol ha'amin, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
You found it before me. Good job.
Yovohim Shanat Hachamishim Shanat Tiyeh Lachem Lo Tiksor U Tiksor Et Sificheya O Tiksor Et Nizrai Hi Yovo Hon Hadesh Tiyeh Lachem B'nei Hashida Tishchor Et Tivuata Veshanat Hayovel Hazet Tishvu Ish El Achaton Bechol Timichorim Lemitecha Ish Kana Med Amitecha El Tonu Ish Et Achon Achi. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'hayu olam natan b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Oh, amen. Okay.
No, we say amen. You
Oh.
said the blessing. That's the point. We can say amen to your blessings now.
Okay.
You have the power to lead services anytime you want. It is now. No, did I turn this back off? Yep. Oh, right, translation. Detail.
That 50th year shall be a jubilee for you. You shall not sow, neither shall you reap the aftergrowth or harvest the untrimmed vines. For it's a jubilee. It shall be holy to you. You may only eat the growth direct from the field. In this year of jubilee, each of you shall return to your holding. When you sell property to your neighbor or buy any from your neighbor, you shall not wrong one another.
We now turn in our prayer books to page 252 and rise as the Torah will be lifted. And I'd like to call forward Hillary's parents for the lifting and dressing of the Torah.
V'zot haTorah אשר
You get to
שם
step aside.
משה לפני בני ישראל, על פי אדוני ביד משה.
You may be seated.
We'll now continue with the Haftarah reading, and if you have the Torah commentary, Hillary will be reading from, I wrote this down, Jeremiah 32, and it is on page 862. Start with the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar neim tobim v'rotzav v'direhem han'emarim behemet. Baruch atah Adonai Becher haTorah u'v'misher avedo u'v'Yisrael amo v'ni'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Ve'ete palel el Adonai acharei titei et sefer hamechna el Baruch b'nei Nireya lemor. Aha Adonai Elohim, Hane Ata Asita et Hashmi, Ve'et Haaretz B'chocha Hagadol Uvizoroach Hanetuya Lo Ye Palel Mimcha Chol Daver Osh Osei Chin said La Allah Fim Umi Shalom Avon Avot El Che Benehem Acharehem Ha'el Hagadol Hagipor Adonai Savaot Shemo Gadol Ha'etza Verav Ha'alei La Asher Inicha Viki Chot Al Chol Darechi b'nei Adam, latet le'esh chidei rachon, v'ki perei ma'alalon. Asher samta otot, umosh pitem, va'aret mitzaram ad hayom hazeh. Uve Yisrael, uva Adam, vata'aseh lecha shem kenyom hazeh, vatotse et amecha et Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim, vetotot uve mo fatem, uve yad chazacha, uve et mizruah, Netoya uve mo ra gadol, vatetain lahem et haaretz hazot, asher nishva'ita la'avot tam, latet lahem eretz savat la'chala advash. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzor kol ha'olamim tzaddik, v'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer e'oseh ha'medaber u'michayim, shechol davaran emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodam, ve'al ha'neve'im, ve'al yom chasava hazeh shenatata lanu et Eloheinu, Adonai Eloheinu, lachadesha umi notecha, lechol vod ule tifare, al hakol Adonai Eloheinu, anachno modim lecha umi barachim, uvtach yate beracham, shimcha b'fichochai tamed le'olam va'ed, baruch atah Adonai mechadesh ha'shabbat.
Now it's in English.
God spoke to Moses one day at Mount Sinai. God told Moses he was prepared to assign land to his people, the Israelites. Before such act, however, God instructed Moses to explain to the Israelites that the land he was to assign was to be used for 6 consecutive years. The Israelites could use the land to sow, plant crops, and harvest its produce. But the 7th year was to be a pause of such activity, and land cannot be used to grow crops or harvest its bounty. The 7th year was a Sabbath, a period of rest for the land. The lesson is, why did God tell this to Moses? Why did God place this condition, this requirement upon the Israelites? Why could the Israelites use the land for 6 years but not the 7th? God created the earth, the universe, the world in 6 days. To this hard work and exhaustion, a day of rest was necessary, causing the 7th day to be a Sabbath, Friday at sundown through Saturday at sunset. We recognize the Sabbath. It is a day of rest following the work week. During the Sabbath, one is not to engage in work or business. Rather, one is to spend this time at rest and in peace with God. I believe God felt the same way about the land. The world he created, the land like his people, required a resting period, a time of healing, a period free from use. The land like his people also needed time to regain strength and replenish what was lost and taken. God felt this way, I believe, because the land was his creation, and he wanted to protect and preserve the land. God was conquered and did not want the land to be misused and threatened, so 1 full year without use was required in order to protect and preserve his creation. I believe God's instruction to Moses and the Israelites applies today as well. We can use the land and its resources as God intended, but we must do so with care and caution. We must not take for granted the land, its resources, and the environment in general. We must use the land and its project wisely. If we abuse the land, we are abusing God's creation and violating God's words to Moses. Dramatic wildfires in the west, violent storms, tornadoes in the Midwest, devastating hurricanes in the south, and winter storms causing dangerous power outages are perhaps God's warning to us, his people, that maybe we need to take heed and treat his land with more care and caution. Perhaps a more earth-friendly approach to everyday living is required. Reduce, if not eliminate, harmful and damaging pollutions that have a destructive impact to the land, air, and water. A Sabbath is an order for the land respecting God's request as it relates to our use of land is the lesson for this Torah reading. At this time, I want to thank my parents for their taking me to religious school and my tutoring sessions in their support for my bat mitzvah. I also want to thank Rabbi Tina and Rabbi Karen for their guidance and help in my bat mitzvah and preparation. I also want to thank Courtney and Fred for their musical contributions. Additionally, I want to thank the Merricks, who traveled from Toronto, Canada, and my other family members who traveled from California and South Carolina to share this experience with me.
And now you get to take a deep breath, because I get to call forward your parents to embarrass you. Share a blessing for you.
Hillary, congratulations on this day and your fine accomplishment. Your mother and I want to first thank Temple Israel, but in particular, Rabbi Bodney-Halasz and Rabbi Sobo for their time and effort in helping prepare you for this significant achievement. Also, we want to thank our family and many friends who are here this morning to share this wonderful day with us. Hillary, this is a very special day for you, our daughter, who we are so very proud of today. For you have entered into the world of adulthood. And as you and your brother Gabe will acknowledge, often many times and probably to your disdain, I have asked that you not grow up so fast. But I have no control over time, and here you are, a 12-year-old girl, soon to be 13, a bat mitzvah, rapidly growing up before our eyes. This is an accomplishment to be proud of. This was not given to you. You were required to work and earn this, and you did. You embraced this challenge, Hillary, willingly with little resistance. Although we as your parents introduced you to religious school and the notion of becoming a bat mitzvah, we did not force this upon you. You wanted to attend religious school. You wanted to pursue this and become a bat mitzvah, and you did so. You met this challenge, and although it did not come easy, oftentimes challenges do not. You succeeded and are here this morning a bat mitzvah. I am hopeful that you will continue with your commitment to Judaism. Do not consider this the culmination, but rather the continuation of your interest and involvement with your faith. As our daughter Hillary, we offer the following as you continue your journey through life. Make wise decisions and exercise good judgment. Be strong and confident. Be honest and genuine. Be kind and thoughtful of others. Be generous. Have faith and believe you can achieve whatever you want. Learn from your mistakes. And always put forth your best effort. Do not become complacent. Always seek to improve yourself. Be patient. Always be responsible for your actions and take responsibility for your decisions, good or bad. Pursue your talents. Practice your trumpet and your music. Practice your swimming. Study hard. Continue your learning of Torah and practice its teachings. Be there for your friends and continue to be the good sister you have been to your brother. Be a leader and make the most of your life. As your parents, we are proud of you and love you very much. Mazel tov.
You have to stay up here a little bit longer. That was beautiful. Steve, I have to say that I think that your words are extremely important for us to be reminded of as parents, of the importance of this being a beginning and not a culmination. And as you have shown through your own leadership at Temple, that this is a lifelong commitment to our community. And so I want to say you have wonderful parents who I know very well, and I know that they are giving you a very good example in how to continue to be a part of our community. Now, I've known you for a very long time, and I feel like I've watched you really grow up before our eyes and embrace the things that are so important to you and to find those things that you have passion for. And I think we could all tell by your speech today that you're very passionate about caring for others, for caring for all of the world, meaning not just people, but the land and the creatures, as we know that you've taken care of the cats during your bat mitzvah project. I want to just take a second to focus in on something that you didn't talk about as much, so that's my purpose, is to not say what you've said. So I'm going to talk about something a little bit different, which is we're taught in here, there's a part afterwards that deals with changing the structure of society and how there are certain rules and regulations, not just for the land, but also in how we treat those who are in situations where they're working beneath us and trying to be their own individuals. And we're taught things take time, and in this time period that we were in, it was a very different reality of what life looked like. But what we know is that in each person, there is the responsibility that each one deserves to be given dignity and respect, right? And that there are reasons why everyone should be treated the same. You know, just as you said, the Shabbat, everyone should rest, so should those who are within your care and your possession. You have to let everybody have those same things that are important to us, right? Just like the land, it's not just about taking care of our own needs, but taking care of all of our needs and taking care to not allow those horrible things that can happen when we are not paying attention to climate change and other such things. So I think that in you, I often see that embodied, that you see the dignity of every human being and you recognize that each of us is made in the image of God. And I want to just celebrate that, because I think that as you've grown, you've never once shown me anything but that. And as you continue, and I say continue, thank you, Steve, in your journey, in your Jewish life, it's important that you remain a part of our community, because we need you. We need people like you to remind us of the importance of community, the importance of taking care of one another, the importance of our job to take care of the earth, our job to take care of our pets and our animals, and to give dignity to all human beings, but also to take good care of everything within our community. I hope that this, as you said, is just a step in a further continuance, hopefully through confirmation and beyond, that you may be a light to your own children, hopefully one day, should you wish to have them, like your parents have been to you. And as we sit here, or stand here today, I know you're ready to be done. So take another breath. I'll give you a chance to do that. Okay, now you have to come over here. And I want you just to take a moment. And I know before we started, I asked you to sort of just center yourself. And now we're going to go back to that. And we're going to take just a minute to look around and try to meet the eyes, the gaze of each person, slower than that, who's in this room, so you can actually see each and every one of them. All the people that you mentioned who came from all over to celebrate with you. And as you look in their eyes, a little slower, no, just kidding. As you look around and you see them, I want you to remember that connection that we were talking about, with seeing everyone through the eyes that we are all made in the image of God, and recognize that this connection that we feel, we experience today, this amount of support that you're feeling from this wonderful community that is here for you, you always have that. There may be times when you have other challenges beyond the Torah that will come up in your life, and you will feel challenged. Please know, just like this, that there is a community of people holding you up, lifting you up, and celebrating all of the accomplishments that you will have. That feeling that you feel right now, that support, is a taste of holiness. This is a taste of God in our community, and it is yours, and you can draw upon that as strength as you continue to grow older and become the responsible adult Jew that you now are. No pressure. So, again, just take one more look. Take a deep breath. This is the good part. Now they get to shower you with things in just a little bit.
Oh, yay.
And you get to celebrate. So as we conclude, I'd like to invite everyone to please rise, including those who will be closing the Ark as we return the Torah to the Ark.
Please pray with me on page 285 at the top. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to interrogate and goodness, when suppression shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm to be established on earth, and the world of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign ever and ever.
And it is now my pleasure to not call forward your dad, although he's on our board, to call forward Linda Novak, who has some presentations. We give your dad a second off the hook here.
Okay, Hillary, congratulations. Just as your parents are proud of you today, so is your Temple family. And this is your certificate to say that you are indeed a bat mitzvah from Temple Israel. And some candlesticks from Temple that I know you'll be wanting to use on Shabbat nights. And this is from Nifty with a money towards a trip, not for the trip, but towards the trip to Israel. We have to make that very clear. And I hope you use it at some time in the future. Thank you. This is from the Bettman family, and they give something to every bar and bat mitzvah in the area. Dear Hillary, tzedakah is the Hebrew word for the acts that in English we call charity, and is derived from the word tzedek, meaning righteousness, justice, or fairness. The giving of charity and performance of righteous acts, therefore, is deeply ingrained in our Jewish ideals, values, and consciousness. As you begin your adult Jewish life, the Bettman family, through the Jewish Federation of Greater Dayton, is pleased to present this beautiful personalized tzedakah box, and it is beautiful, crafted by artist Gary Rosenthal. It is our hope that this special day and this gift will inspire you throughout your life to connect to your Jewish heritage through Masim Tovim, or righteous deeds, Tikkun Olam, the repair of the world, and tzedakah, charity. And so on behalf of the Bettman family and the Jewish Federation of Greater Dayton, Mazel Tov, and may every occasion be as sweet as this one. And congratulations. You did a beautiful job.
For anyone who thinks you're shy, I think you just demonstrated that you're really not. She goes, yes, I get to sit down. This is our part of the service where we take a moment to reflect on all who we wish could be here today with us to celebrate this wonderful occasion, and all who are no longer with us who mean so much to us. So we turn our thoughts now to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us. We are in a period of Aninut for Richard Levinson, a period of Shiva for William Rossi, and a period of Shloshim for Deborah Seidel, Rosalind Moss, Shirley Gilbert, Fred Weber, and Janice Davies May. We also remember those who died at this season in years past and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. We are observing yahrzeits for Margaret Baer, Stanley R. Barnett, Saul Burke, Isaac Belenkin, Robert Brackman, Adele R. Cohen, Ella Daneman, Earl Dorsey, Harris Fleece, Ben Friedman, Lena B. Green, Samuel J. Harris, Sr., Rosetta R. Klein, Ed Colton, Sidney A. Kotler, Emmanuel Kritzer, Harry Leventhal, Rose Matisoff Levinson, Samuel Margolis, D. Sterling Margolis, Louis R. Marks, James Miller, Anna Monshine, Benjamin Moyer, Joel Noble, Edward Pacernick, Harry Patterson, Joseph N. Patterson, Gertrude Rendler, Ken Rittner, Joy Rosen, Minnie Rudin, Deborah Schwartz, Arnold Schwartzman, Theodore Shaman Sr., Jack Thompson, and Kenneth Weinberger. We also call forward any other names that you may want to have included or perhaps pronounced more accurately. We hold them in our hearts, and I invite all who are in mourning or remembering to please rise first. And I invite the rest of us to join as a community as we recite the words of the Mourner's Kaddish together on page 294. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shmei Rabba, be'alma divrach v'yutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mramav, Huya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories always and only be for a blessing. At this time, we will turn to page 294 for Oseh Shalom, and while we do that, we will be passing out some candy. I'm going to ask that you don't eat the candy, that you hold on to the candy until we are done, and I will give you further instructions. You may be seated.
Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. 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 Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
So one of our traditions in Judaism is to remind ourselves that the words of Torah are sweet on our lips, and today they were very sweet for Hillary, and we want to shower her with sweets to celebrate this. So we are not going to throw the candy. I want to use the word toss. Carefully, lightly toss, when I say to, when we're off the bima, the candy towards Hillary. So in just a moment, when we're off the bima, we're all going to do that, and then we'll say mazel tov. Do we understand? Okay. Toss.
Gently toss.
Yes. Okay, mazel tov. Now, for those of you who really regretted having to throw away the candy, I will tell you at the end of this, you will have the opportunity, if you would like to, after we say the blessing over the wine and the bread, that you will have the opportunity to come up and help take some of this candy, because I'm sure Hillary will need lots of help. So.
Can I read it? Oh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, bero perei hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzei lehem min haaretz.
Zehayom asa Adonai nagilah v'nismechavo. This is the day that God has created for us in order that we should be glad and rejoice in it. We all are glad and rejoice in this day together. Mazal tov, Shabbat shalom. And anyone who wants to come up and grab some candy as this concludes our services, you may do so.